Hello, fourth year students. Last time we finished with the sentence patterns and sentence elements, and today we are going to start a new topic which is entitled Concord. First of all, we are going to start with defining Concord. So, what is Concord? Concord is the grammatical agreement between two words in a sentence. This is the general definition of Concord. So, we have words that should agree with each other when we are making sentences in English. These words can be subject and verb, okay? Sometimes they can be subject and object, and we are going to see how. Is it clear? Sometimes there can be an agreement even between the verb and the object. So all these things we are going to study them under the title or under the topic that is entitled Concord. In fact, as I said, the concord can be of two types. Can be a concord or agreement in number and agreement in person. Okay? The most important type of concord in English is the concord of number between subject and verb. There can be another type of agreement between the subject and the verb, which is, as we said, the concord or the agreement in person. But what is more important than the concord of person is the concord of number. The subject and verb should agree with each other in the number they are indicating. So if the subject of the sentence is singular, the verb must show that. The verb should have a form that reflects this idea, reflects the idea that the subject is singular. And the same thing that if the subject is a plural, the verb must be plural as well. So what do we call this type of concord? We call it grammatical concord. Okay? A very simple and form or notion of concord, that is the subject and the verb should agree in number, and this is called what? Grammatical concord. If the subject is singular, the verb must be singular. If the subject is a plural, also the verb should be plural. If we examine these simple sentences, we say the window is open and the windows are open. So the first sentence, the window, this is the subject and it is singular. So you see the verb that has been used here is, which is usually used with singular subjects. While when I make the subject plural, by adding the plural s, it becomes the windows. So here I cannot say the windows is. Also, I have to change the form of the verb to reflect this idea, the idea that the subject is plural. So the correct form of the verb here is what? Are. So the windows are open is the correct form. This is, as we said, a very simple explanation of what concord is, specifically if we are talking about concord of number between the subject and the verb. Which type of concord is it called? It is called the grammatical concord. Okay, but things may not seem so that easy, because you remember we said the subject can appear in different forms. So when the subject changes its form, what about the verb? Is it going to be singular or plural? Here we are going to consider some of the cases or some of the forms of the subject and see what kind or what form of the verb that we are going to use with each of these forms. Is it the singular or the plural verb that is going to be used. So in the notes, we are going to see number one is telling us that a clause taking the position of subject counts as singular, and hence a singular verb is used. So if you remember, we said the subject can appear in a form of a clause, and in this case we are going to call it a nominal clause because it occupies the position of the subject, which should be a noun. So if you have your subject appearing in a form of a clause, in this way you have to consider it as what? As singular, and since your subject is singular, so your verb must be singular also. So for example, what Bill did doesn't shock his friends. To arrive early is good. The first sentence, what Bill did, doesn't shock his friends. The subject is what Bill did, and it is a clause. As you remember, we said it is a clause because it has a verb. So since it is a clause, we consider it as singular, and that's why we use with it a singular subject. Sorry, a singular verb, doesn't shock. Similarly, we have the sentence to arrive early is good. The subject is to arrive early. This is a non-finite clause infinitive with to. So since it is a clause, since the subject is a clause, so we consider it as a singular subject, and the verb must be singular also. Number two, the subject can appear in a form of a prepositional phrase. In this case, also you have to deal with this prepositional phrase taking the position of the subject as singular and use with it a singular verb. For example, inside the freezer is dark and cold. The subject of the sentence is inside the freezer. In form, it is a prepositional phrase, starting with inside as a preposition followed by the noun phrase the freezer. This prepositional phrase is taking the position of the subject, so we are going to consider it as what? Functional. It functions as subject. Okay, according to meaning, we are going to consider singular. That's why the verb should be singular as well. Number three is telling us that nominal relative clauses can be singular or plural since they are equivalent to noun phrases. So the nominal relative clauses, when they take the position of the subject, they can be either singular or plural according to the noun phrases that can replace them, okay, or according to the noun phrases that they refer to. For example, when I say, what I like best is football, the subject here is what I like best. So this subject comes in the form of a clause. Which type of a clause? It is a nominal relative. Why? Because here I am talking about a specific thing. Which thing is it? It is a sport. I know that football is a sport. So I can use a suitable noun phrase instead of the WH word what. I can say the sport that I like best, or the sport I like best is football. So when I say my sentence in this way, my subject is going to be the sport, and the sport is singular, is a noun phrase, and it is singular. This means that my verb should be singular as well. Another example, what were once great ideas are now nothing. So the subject here is what were once great ideas. This is again a nominal relative clause. Okay, and we are going to study later, when we are going to study the different types of clauses, we are going to see what we mean by relative clauses. But within Concord, you have to bear in mind that nominal relative clauses usually refer to something. Okay, they can be replaced by specific noun phrases. Okay, identifying or telling us their meanings. So in this sentence, what were once great ideas are now nothing. The subject is what were once great ideas. So here, the WH word, what, is referring to the ideas. I can replace it by the ideas, okay? The great ideas. So the ideas here, or the great ideas, in form, they are what? Plural. So since the meaning of or what this relative clause refers to is a plural, it should be used with a plural verb. So the verb now in this sentence is are. Number 4, in informal speech, there is a tendency to use is or was with pseudo subject there in existential sentences. For example, there is 2 patients in the waiting room. Remember, we said this is informal speech. In order to understand this note, we have to first understand what we mean by existential sentences. Existential sentences are those sentences that start with there, the word there, followed by a form of the verb be. So existential sentences start with there, followed by one of the forms, or the verb for be in its different forms. Okay, so the main verb is what? Be, and the subject is there. These sentences, they express the notion of existence. Okay, so there is the meaning of the meaning of existence in the sentence. That's why we call them what? Existential sentences. Now, what do we mean by pseudo subject? There is called here in such sentences the pseudo subject, a pseudo subject. Pseudo subject, it means that it is a subject that is without content. Okay, a fake subject, but it is similar here to the subject. Okay, it is meaningless, but it is similar to the subject because it takes the place of the subject, the position of the subject, which is where, what is the position of the subject? It is at the beginning of the sentence. Is it clear? So this sentence, there's 2 patients in the waiting room, can also be said as there are 2 patients in the waiting room. Okay, but here he's telling us that there is a difference between the formal and the informal style of English. In the informal, they are saying that since there is singular in form, so we should use with it what? A singular verb. So they say what? There is 2 patients in the waiting room. But in the formal English, they say no. Since we are talking about 2 patients and not 1, we have to use are. They say there are 2 patients in the waiting room. Okay? Number 5, you have to pay attention to certain words that end with S, but remember that this S is not a plural S. So in this way, you have to deal with these words as singular words or singular nouns. And here you have to use with them singular verbs. For example, you have the word news. They say this word ends with s, but it is not plural s. Okay? So all the times they regard this word in use as what? As singular. The same thing with the words or the nouns that refer to fields of science, like physics, mathematics, politics, economics, linguistics, etc. You see, all these nouns referring to sciences, they end with s. But since this s is not a plural s, we consider these nouns as singular, and we use with them what? Singular verb. For example, when we define linguistics, we say linguistics is the scientific study of language. So you see, we used a singular verb with linguistics. Also, there are some nouns referring to diseases. For example, measles. They are considered what? Singular, and a singular verb is used with them. For example, we say measles is sometimes serious. Other types of nouns that can cause some problems for foreign learners of English are the nouns that do not have a singular form. Okay, they are plural in their meaning. They are plural without this s. Is it clear? Without adding the plural s to their at their end. And at the same time, we do not know for them a singular form. For example, people, cattle, clergy, police, etc. These nouns, as I wrote here, they are called unmarked plural. What do we mean by unmarked plural? These nouns are plural, but without having the mark that we usually use or depend on in identifying the plural nouns from the singular nouns. What is this mark? It is the plural s. For example, our people are complaining. So here, the word or the noun people is used as a subject. It is a plural in meaning. Is it clear? And it is not a plural in form because it does not have s at the end. It is not peoples. Is it clear? And here they say that since it is a plural in meaning, we deal with it as what? As a plural, and we have to use it with it plural verb. But it is not all the time. It is like that. These nouns are called collective nouns, and we are going to deal with them later on. Is it clear? This is only to give you an idea about how to deal with these nouns. The nouns that are plural in meaning but not in form. Okay? Number 6, we have plural words and phrases, including the coordinated ones, are considered singular when they are used as names, quotations, or titles. So they are plural in their form and in their meaning. They have a plural s at the end, but we are going to consider them as singular. Why? Because they are used in a sentence and to refer to a name of something, to a title, or as a quotation. Is it clear? In this way, here you are going to deal with them as what? As one thing. For example, when I say Little Women is an American novel, it is a very famous and well-known American novel. It is called Little Women. In form, we know that women is a plural, okay? And it has a singular form, which is women. So women and women, singular and plural. But here you see that we said is. We didn't say are. Why? Because Little Women here is a title of one book, one novel. Is it clear? Since this plural noun phrase refers to or is used as a title for one singular book, that's why we are going to deal with it as a singular subject and use with it a singular verb. Also, when you have the titles coming in the form of coordinated nouns, coordinated words, you have two or three words, they are joined by and or. So we call them coordinated, joined together. So usually we deal with subjects as what? Plural. For example, when I say Anne and John are coming. Anne and John are coming. My subject is what? Anne and John. Are they one person? No, they are two. Anne and John. So in this way, I am considering my subject as a plural and I am using with it a plural verb, are coming. But in this sentence that we can see here, crime and punishment. Crime and Punishment is Dostoevsky's best novel. So although we have two nouns joined together, coordinated together by and, but we say that these are what? Singular subject. They are making for us singular subject, and we should use with them what? A singular verb. Why? Because I know that Crime and Punishment, it is a title of one novel written by Dostoevsky. Okay? However, you have to pay attention to, however, the titles of some works, which are collection of stories, can be singular or plural. So if you know that the title we are talking about is not a novel, is not one novel, it's not one story, it's not one poem, but it is a collection of short stories. Okay, one book that contains more than one short story, or it is one book, but it contains more than one poem. Okay, so here in this case, you either deal with them as singular or plural. When you are dealing with the title, okay, well, we deal with the title of those short stories as a title of one book containing all these short stories or all these poems. So here it is what? Singular. But if you are talking about the individual short stories found in the book, or the individual poems found in the book, here you are going to regard or to consider your subject as what? Plural. For example, the Canterbury Tales exist, and we can also say exist, in many manuscripts. So we know the Canterbury Tales, from their name, they are tales. It's not one tale, not one story. It is a book, one book that contains more than one tale, more than one story. So it is what? A collection of short stories, short or tales, under the title The Canterbury Tales. So if I am dealing with the book itself, and how many books are there? Only one. So I'm going to consider this title or as what? As singular, because it is a title of one book. So I'm going to say the Canterbury Tale exists with third person singular S. But if I am talking about the individual stories one by one found in the book, here my subject becomes a plural, and in this case I'm going to use with it a plural verb without the third person singular S. So I'm going to say the Canterbury Tales exist in many manuscripts. Okay, what we said was about what? Grammatical concord. There are other two factors that we need to put in mind when dealing with concord. Not all the times things can be easy, like the thing that like the notes or that we studied before, that if your subject is singular, your verb must be singular. No. This will bring us to talk about two other factors related to concord, which are called notional concord and proximity. So, notional concord is defined as the agreement of the verb with subject according to the idea of number rather than the actual presence of the grammatical marker for that idea. And we talked about this when we talked about the notion, the collective nouns. We are going to repeat this here. So what does this mean? What does notional concord mean? Notional concord means that sometimes we have subjects, okay, nouns coming in the position of the subject. They are plural in meaning, but not in what? In form. They do not end with the plural s. But we know from their meaning that they are what? Plural. Here, the verb will agree with the meaning rather than what? The form. So the verb will be singular if we consider the meaning of the noun in the place of the subject is what? Singular. But if we consider this noun in the position of the subject as a plural noun in meaning, so the verb should be what? A plural as well. So such nouns that may make for us this case are called what? Collective nouns. What do we mean by collective nouns? A collective noun is a noun you use to refer to a group of people or things. For example, we have committee, team, government, staff, family, public, people, etc. If you examine these words or these nouns, you see that they are what? Singular in form. They do not have s at the end. But we know that inside them, or they are made up of what? Or more than one person. In order to, I need more than one person in order to make a committee. For a football team, for example, I cannot have a football team of only one player. I need 11 players to make the football team I need. So you see, inside this word, this noun, team, is singular in form, but in meaning, it is a plural because usually within any team, any sports team, you need more than one player to form it. Is it clear? Same thing with the government. We need the president. We need the prime minister. We need the ministers. We need all the people who are working in the government. And here we are going to call them what? Government. Government is singular in form, but inside it there are more one person who is making it. The same thing with family. Okay? Staff, public, people. So these nouns are called collective nouns. They are plural in meaning, okay, but singular in form. So with such nouns, how am I going to deal? Am I going to say that they are singular? I'm going to depend on form. So we say that this is what they are singular, so I'm going to use with them singular verb. or no, I will say no there, since there I need more than one person to make, for example, a team or to make a family. So this means that they are what, plural nouns, and I need a plural verb. Here they say that you have to depend on what context. The context of the sentence in which these nouns appear will tell you or will determine for you whether the verb is singular or plural. So if the noun is taken as one unit, then a singular verb will be used. But if the members of the group in the group are seen as separate, then the plural verb will be used. For example, when I say the committee meets once in a year, the committee meets once in a year. So here I have my subject is the committee, and the committee in form it is singular, but I know that there should be more than one person making the committee. There cannot be one person and we call it a committee, call him or her by himself or herself a committee. Okay, so since I am talking about the committee as one unit, is it clear? As one committee, not two committees, not three, not four, but no, I am talking about only one committee. So I'm going to consider it as what? Singular, and I'm going to use with it a singular verb. But if I say the committee contribute to issues as they are empowered, here I am talking about the people inside the committee, the members of the committee. And here the committee is having a plural meaning, and that's why the plural verb is used. So here, which type of concord we have? We have notional concord. The verb agrees with the meaning of the collective noun. If you deal with it as one unit, so it is singular. If you deal with it as different members making it, so it is what? Plural. Proximity. This principle denotes agreement of the verb with whatever noun or pronoun closely precedes it, sometimes in preference to agreement with the head word of the subject. Okay? For example, when I say one of your friends is here and one of your friends are here. So, in order to clarify proximity means closeness, nearness. Okay? The verb will agree, according to this rule, with the noun that is close to it, rather than the head word that is far away from it. Okay? Although this head word is the most important word, but it is far away from it. Is it clear? So here they say it is better for the verb to agree with the word that is coming before, precedes it, closely precedes it, okay, or immediately precedes it. For example, when I say one of your friends is here, so the phrase that is making for me the subject is one of your friends. The main word here is not friends, but it is one. Is it clear? So not all the friends are coming or are here. It is only one of them. So the main word or the head word is one. And I know one is singular. So here the verb agrees with it and becomes is singular. This is according to what? Grammatical concord. What does the grammatical concord say? Grammatical concord says that if your subject is singular, so your verb is singular. Okay? But according to proximity, we are going to say this sentence in this way. One of your friends are here. So now the head word, which is one, is far away from the verb. Okay? So here the verb prefers to agree with the noun that closely precedes it, that comes immediately before it. Which noun that comes immediately before the verb? It is a friends, and the friends is a plural. So here the verb agrees with the friends and becomes a plural rather than agrees with what? With the head word which is far away from it. So which rule is this now? It is proximity. Okay, so pay attention, please, to these three rules of Concord of number between the subject and the verb. Until now, we have three rules. They are the grammatical concord, the notional concord, and proximity. Okay, finally, we come to the collective nouns, and we said something about collective nouns before. We said the collective nouns are the nouns that refer to a group of people or things. So, how to deal with them? Are they singular or plural? In fact, we said that in meaning, notionally, they are plural, but grammatically in form, they are singular. So, in British English, they depend on what? They depend on meaning. They say since they are in meaning, these collective nouns are in meaning, they are plural, so we are using with them plural verb because we consider them as plural. But in American English, they depend on what form. They say since they are in form singular, they do not have a plural s, so we consider them as what? Singular nouns, and we use with them singular verbs. So they say, for example, the public are tired of demonstration. This is British English because in British English they are dealing with the meaning of the collective noun. Okay, this is notional concord. But in American English, they say the public is tired of demonstration, and here they consider it as singular, and they use with it a singular verb because they depend on grammatical concord, on the meaning, on the form of the collective noun. They say it is singular in form because it does not have the plural s. But the rule that you have to depend on is what? That please look or try to understand the context in which such nouns appear. Okay, the context is going to tell you whether this collective noun is singular or plural. So if the context is telling you that this collective noun is referring to a single undivided body, okay, is referring to one group only, so here you have to deal with it as a singular noun and use with it a singular verb. But if the context is referring to the people or to the things inside or making for us or who are making for us this collective noun, so in this case you have to deal with these collective nouns as a plural and use with them what? A plural verb. For example, we have the audience is enormous. The audience is enormous. Your subject here is the audience, and we know that the audience is a collective noun because we need more than one person to say that this is an audience. Okay, in this sentence we use with it the singular verb is. Why? Because here the context of the sentence is telling us that the speaker is referring to one audience, to one group of people who are making the what he's referring to as audience. Is it clear? So here it is regarded or dealt with as singular. That's why the verb is singular. But if we say the audience were enjoying the show, okay, I am talking about the reactions of the people or the members of the audience, individual members of the audience. I am not talking about the audience as one group. No, I am talking about the individual people, the individual members who I am looking at in the auditorium, and I am seeing that they are enjoying their time. So here I am having in mind that they are what? More than one person, so it is a plural, and the verb that is used with it should be plural as well. Okay, so with this we have finished the first part of this topic, Concord, and it refers to the basic rules that we have to depend on when we identify the form of the verb that we need to use with the subject, whether the verb is going to be singular or plural, and how it is going to depend on whether the subject is singular or plural. Okay, thank you.